again, your plan from Rivengard. So roughly about 300 some miles uh, this direction, and then another 300 miles to Rayla. So like 600 miles you guys need to travel. I don't
Ah.
remember. Did you buy? You have a carriage, I know that, but and then you traded your riding horses for extra.
Yeah, because I pulled them out of my jacket.
Yeah, correct. Yes. Um, for draft horses. So you guys can go relatively quickly. I don't remember how long we determined that it was going to take, though. Once again, I don't really know that it's going to matter that much.
I'm pretty sure you said with the carriage it was like, because you still have to do all the travel and all that stuff. I think you said it was like a bit faster than walking, but
Yeah,
it
the
still was gonna
carriage
be
was faster than walking and like comparable to the boat travel because it was faster unless you go out to like deep ocean, but it was more of like a straight shot.
Yeah, because you have to go along the coast. It's slower. So if you travel, well, a riding horse is around 4 miles per hour, roughly.
Yeah, if we went by like the travel guides provided in like the DMG or the PHB, one of those two, it's like if we went at a fast pace, we could get there in like 20.
But if we did that, we wouldn't get to stop at all the different towns and villages.
Oh, well, actually, here, Matt, I literally just found something that might be of use to you. I'll put it in Discord. It is you put how far you got to travel, how long, how many hours per travel per day you're doing, and it just gives you the time.
Yeah, I have a thing that so I just basically just did math. So I think it would take you roughly 18 to 20 days to get there. If you travel 8 miles a day, or I'm sorry, if you travel 8 hours a day at 4 miles per hour.
Which is about reasonable because you got to figure, stop for food, make camp, stuff like that, take down camp,
Because then
rest.
obviously there would be days where you would go further than, or you probably go longer than 8 hours a day, and you'd be somewhere you would go less because whether it be, weather slows you down, because
Never
again,
mind. The one I posted, you have to do a subscription if you want to be able to add horses and stuff. So fuck that.
Because again, these are not like paved roads. I would say that there is actually a bit of paved road out of Vingard, and more so probably like cobblestone than actual like tarmac. But the rest of the trip is going to be pretty much dirt roads, gravel roads at best, and obviously if it rains, that's going to slow you down. So yeah, roughly 20-ish days, give or take. And there are, again, quite a few small villages and farms and things like that you would pass by. So, last chance as you're leaving Rivengard to do anything that you would want to do.
I would like to murder a few shopkeepers on my way out, steal their stock.
Yeah, we're effectively never coming back.
We'll probably all die. Gotta make sure we're well equipped for our own deaths.
Pebble's gonna go into her room, push one of her shelves across away from the floor, pull up a floorboard, and dump some gold in there.
I forgot that's how you've been stashing your money.
Yep.
I
Better
didn't
than the
know that
banks.
was how you've been stashing your money.
Yep.
That's fantastic.
She
I will
doesn't
say-
trust banks.
I will say before we do go, I would ask Pebble if she wanted me to try to contact Gemma for her.
Oh yeah, please.
So, Matt, I have no idea how you want to do it. If she describes her to me and all that kind of stuff, and I just try.
I have animal messenger. Can I send an animal messenger?
I mean, take a while.
That's true.
How long does that last? Isn't it like an hour? Or is it
I
just
think it's like
until
a
done?
day.
So yeah, message.
So like I think roughly like Pebbles Village is probably in these woods here.
Yep.
So what would you like to say to Gemma?
I would ask
Pebble.
Pebble for a bit. I know. I think what you told me last week, and I don't want to like misremember it, but that you have gotten much stronger. You have slayed many giants, and you are working to become stronger.
Yeah,
And
stronger in
now,
the clever way.
And now Uran is here as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I will say that this is a friend of Pebble. She has been working very hard to get strong in a clever way, and has slain giants and met up with a new friend named Uran, or an old friend, I should say, named Uran. And I'll just say, you can answer back in short terms. Like I said, I have no idea if it'll even go through without me having like actually met her or something.
I mean, it's pretty hard to determine what familiar means, right? Like someone you're familiar with. But yeah, I'll say that you hear a response back, basically telling you that she's very proud of Pebble, and she says, for now, keep doing what she's doing, and Gemma will try and come and find you, and asks you not to come back to the village for now.
Can I discern any like reasoning behind it? Like, is it fear? Is it anything like that?
Can't tell.
Okay. Well, the part I will tell Pebble is about being proud and continue doing what we're doing, and how she seemed happy. And then I would try to go over to Uran on the side at one point and just kind of look at him and, why would Gemma tell you or tell Pebble not to come back right now? Do you know anything?
He wouldn't.
I just kind of shrug.
I don't know how long he's actually been gone, but
But then I would tell Pebble that after a bit of time, like I would like, maybe like an hour or so. I'd be like, oh, there was one other thing she said. Gemma said not to bother going back home. She is going to eventually come try to find you.
Well, that's a bit strange. But I guess if we tell her through sending how strong I'm getting, then eventually she can figure out how strong I need to be to do the challenge, and then I can actually be an adult.
Well, I can keep her informed as much as you want.
Yeah. And also tell her next time that I want to hug her very much.
I will pass that on.
Okay.
although it'd be difficult to meet her because it's really, really hard to find good tokens for Goliaths. So you have to meet her in Theater of the Mind. So
You can probably use old art of what was it? The Goliath in Critical Role Season 1? Or Season
Grog?
2? No, not Grog. The female one that what's-his-name played. When they defeated one of the dragons, she was there.
It's been a long time since I listened to that.
What
Oh,
was his
the one that
name?
Chris Perkins played.
Yeah, him.
I don't remember the name of the character though.
Me neither. I would have to Google
I just
it.
remember what was from the second one. What was it? He played Spurt, right?
Sora. No, never mind, not Sora. That's from this new one.
I mean, I just finished season 1 and I don't remember this character at all. So
I will find her eventually.
Shale.
Yes.
Yep, I just found it too.
There might be art of her
remember
around
the
somewhere.
name now. I vaguely remember it, but yeah, there is the picture of.
That's the one I found.
Yeah, that's.
That'll be good enough. Old Goliath.
Yeah, vaguely.
I'm surprised I didn't know. I mean, the name now sounds familiar, but I don't really remember anything that she did.
I'm pretty sure she was missing an arm.
She was the other.
It wasn't
the
she like
other-
kind of like a mystic type,
Yeah,
like cleric or some type of stuff?
I don't remember
Something
her
along
doing
those lines.
much.
Anyway,
She was in the Umbrasil arc, which was actually one of my favorite ones, but it's been a while. It's been years since I listened to it. So after what? How many episodes did they have? The first season.
100.
20 something.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to lose a few of the plot points after that many, especially when you weren't actually the one who played in it. Yeah, that was not bad.
Anyway.
Anyway,
But yeah, I've got something. Would it have been possible before I quote unquote blinded myself if I could have picked up multiple types of wooden weaponry?
depends on the types of weaponry and how you planned on carrying it. I suppose you guys have a
Bag of holding now.
bag of holding now, yeah. So
Like swords, maces, just simple training weapons.
yep, shouldn't be too hard.
So I'll pick 2 sets of each up because someone wants to train before their tournament arc.
Yep.
And is it me, or do I see 2 halfling tokens on the map?
Where?
I only see one.
I see Aurelia.
Yeah, there's Aurelia and there's on the other past Serenus.
I mean,
Uh.
roll 20. This is who knows.
Yeah, I don't see
it's
anything.
The only small ones are me, Pebble, and Aurelia.
Yeah, because
That's all I see for him.
I'm seeing one literally over
Oh,
there.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
there.
There it is. Little tiny one. She's hiding in the mountains over there.
So it wasn't just me, thank God.
That's
That's
the
funny.
doppelganger that's
Yep.
gonna try to kill her and take her over and then murder the party in our sleep.
Sounds fun by
Good-
me. I
Good
just
thing
wondered-
she's only a monk. We'll be fine.
Oh, you found the secret. Now it's all ruined.
But yeah,
Or it
that's,
was
that's it for me.
hallucinating midgets.
The secret would be if she was actually evil, and Rob detected it by accident.
Time. Let it brew.
Unlike the last game where friggin' Paladin instantly was like, "Hey, look, there's the vampire over there." Ruined the whole story. That's funny.
I would like to know how much would it be to post a lesser quest to the guild? Is my mic not working?
No, I
No,
heard
you're on.
I mean, I guess it really just kind of depends on the type of.
I believe the guild's arrangement was just that they take 10% of the reward money, so you could post literally whatever you want, and
Yeah,
it's just
yeah,
up to the members if they take it.
Yeah, and it's really it's obviously the more dangerous something would be, the more expensive it would be. I mean, if it's just, hey, go talk to this guy, or hey, go do something like this, recover this item, it would be less than, hey, go recover this item, but you're probably gonna have to kill 47 people to get it, type of stuff. That's
Yeah.
really more for you, Rob, because I thought you might be interested in. Those are the names that I had lost the last time we played. Those are the two people that you would be familiar with and that you'd want to keep an eye out for, Magnus and Kodrin.
Okay. Yeah, 'cause
Oh,
I had them in my message between the two of us.
I didn't have them yet. Thank you.
Yeah, so Kodrin, I may have given you different names originally. Those are the new names anyway. Kodrin is Wolfsbane is the one who killed the most members of the Order of the Lycan. Magnus is an older gentleman. Kodrin is probably in his 30s, but Magnus is a bit older. So he's not really he's more of the leader and the generals, but not really a fighter anymore.
In other words, he's easy to kill. Got it.
Yes, because paladins like to go down without a fight.
What are they gonna do? Call their god?
And again, the Knights of the Red Sun are not beholden to a specific god. They all gain their paladin powers from whoever they have decided to get them from.
Yeah, it's probably on the lines of like Oath of the Crown, where you serve a nation or a cause and you just smite people.
Yep. And there are, of course, rumors that not all of the gods that the Red Sun worship are the kind that you normally like to worship, I suppose. Some of those darker powers, you know.
Oh, the fun ones.
But again, it's hard to determine, especially given the fact that some people have created rumors of the like just to try and discredit them in their own mission, because again, one of the reasons that they're hunting the Ghost Slayers is that they believe that they've given up their humanity and become the monsters that they were sworn to destroy. So by being paladins that would essentially be oathbreakers, by whether they be oathbreakers or whether they be in service to gods of lesser than scruples, it kind of makes them just as bad as the people that they would be going after as well. So it's kind of hard to determine if it is just propaganda against them, trying to discredit their own sort of mission statement, I suppose. They're not nice people, regardless. I mean, obviously they murdered a bunch of people no matter
looking
what,
to do it again.
Yeah, I mean, they can try and claim their noble cause, but they're still not nice people.
Well,
It's just some people don't mind that, and they think that what they did was right, so they get away with it.
I shall keep that in mind when I inevitably piss them off.
So, as you all head out, is there anything that you had planned for the road?
Training.
Because as you know, I don't roll on tables because I don't think that that's particularly interesting to be like, hey, you get attacked by wolves in the night. Kind of boring. And I'm more inclined to do so if you're not following a specific road from like one major city to another major city. There are certainly things that would be dangerous on the road, but they're generally not going to be wildlife that's going to be attacking you.
Rowan would mostly just be riding along in our cart, keeping an eye out for the messages in Thieves' Cant, if, whenever he's on watch, but mostly just taking it pretty easy, relaxing.
Oh, you also have the bird from your druid friend.
Yeah, Victor.
So if any news from the guild hall comes in, Victor can somewhat relay that message through Moira. And it was more so though that you can talk to Victor, and Victor can then relay back to Moira as well. It's difficult for him to actually communicate with you, but if you speak to him, she can understand through him.
But yeah, I think I would be helping train Pebble on different styles of attack, so she stands a better chance.
I will offer to throw spells at her to see if she could dodge them.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Of course, it's kind of that weird thing with Pebble in that, like, she also has a shield that means that she can never be moved. So it's like you're quick and nimble, but you can also just slam your shield down and be like, I'm not going anywhere. So it's like you don't have to dodge really. You can just get behind your shield.
Yep.
Which I guess is a good problem to have. Either you are fast and able to get out of the way, or I don't have enough time. I better just put my shield up.
And just hide behind it.
I would like to participate in this physical activity to keep the strength up for my body, and I would also like to cook for people while we're on the road.
Can definitely do that. Go ahead and do a performance check to see the kind of food that you make for everybody.
Okay, I'm proficient with cook's utensils, so can I roll with advantage?
Sure.
Doo-doo-doo. Yes, I'll definitely take the first one.
And Pebble, as a barbarian, I think you get the ability to be able to like scavenge a bunch of food anyway, don't you?
I think that's Outlander, isn't it?
I can never remember because
It's the
Outlander's like,
Outlander.
is it Outlander? Because I know Outlander's like the most popular background for barbarians, so like I always get confused as to if it's from barbarian or if it's from that background.
Yeah, Pebble can't.
Well, just by cooking utensils, foraging for food, Aurelia is able to.
And my only other thing that I'm going to do nightly, unless obviously it calls for me to not have any level 4 spells, will be to make sure that that is cast every night for us to sleep safely.
Ryan, does your half barbarian? Oh, so yeah. Did you have anything
Is
that
that what
would?
you're looking for?
There you go. That's basically the same thing as like the
Outlander perk.
Outlander perk. Being able to.
Beautiful. We will
get a
eat
bunch of stuff.
hearty, my friends.
I mean, Verlin also has a fishing rod and animal traps.
So we're bagging owl bears, right?
I mean, you guys definitely don't have to worry about food, and in fact, you don't have to worry about like eating jerky and hardtack. Like you guys, between the three of you, you guys are all set to be making like gourmet meals on the road. So making venison tacos and all
Gordon
kinds of-
Ramsay would be proud.
It's about life's simple pleasures.
I won't complain about a good meal.
Whatever eases the hardship of the road, correct?
Well, as long as you don't poison us.
If my cooking's that bad, you should just come out and say it.
No, I think your cooking's really yummy.
Yes,
Thank
it's
you,
very
Beth.
delicious.
No
Thank
one's
you
died yet,
kindly. Ever the optimist, Rowan.
of course.
It's not as good as Gemma, but Gemma is like my mom, so that makes sense.
Well, you could help me cook and show me a couple of her recipes.
I'm not good at cooking. Uran will also tell you that I'm not good at cooking because sometimes I explode. And one time I got frustrated and I exploded.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, you train with me and I'll train with you. And we'll both learn that way. How does that sound, Pebble?
Okay. And then I can make a really yummy meal for Gemma without exploding.
It will taste lovely. And besides, who knows, if you do explode, it might add a new flavor.
It didn't add a really good flavor last time.
Yes, I can't imagine burnt is a preferable flavor.
I believe the term is barbecued.
Flash fried.
Depends on how old your food is. So I assume we're moving on.
Yes. And for the most part, the first part of your journey is pretty uneventful. Um, in fact, we will say that you guys get pretty much halfway there. So you guys basically get to the crossroads before you need to start heading south. So you are able to get all the way here. Obviously, it would be a little bit. You probably go south of the forest and then across the river, and at the crossroads, and obviously you were able, like along the way, you would have come across, some small villages that you could stock up on any small supplies that you would need. You would have crossed some farms and um, anything, nothing that would be super exciting. Um, but at the crossroads here, because there would be a road that would continue on to the north here, um, going up into the Jolan Dominion. Um, you do come to the city of Wrexham. I will write it down. It's not really big enough for it to have been added to the map specifically, um, but it is kind of uh, a pit stop in a way. So this is where you've got people from Rayla going to Rivengard. You've got people from Jolan Dominion. Um, so it's relatively busy, but it's not a. It really is. Oh, is it? Well, I don't know where Wrexham is in England, but there you go. This is where it is in Agamar, but it's not really a. I mean, it really is like a pit stop, right? So it's like it's not a place that a bunch of people. You don't stick around. But you certainly stop um, to get supplies. I won't. It's got some touristy types of things. Like it has like a I wouldn't necessarily call it a museum, but it's got a sort of a bit of what they call artifacts of adventurers that people can kind of come in and look at, and it's mainly just to like for like children and stuff to ooh and ah at, but it's not like anything that true adventurers would be not particularly interested in, and it's not like anything you would be like, oh, this is really valuable and really interesting to look at. But as you guys, nice. Um, as you guys enter, though, you actually do see that there's quite a bit of commotion, um, and as you all start walking in together, a sort of older-looking dwarf with sort of long white beard. He's dressed in very nice clothing. Has a big kind of a smile on his face. Seems a little jovial. Kind of motions over to all of you, and as he's walking closer, kind of puts his hand out to shake whoever's hand will accept it first. Introduces himself as Landel, and welcomes you to Wrexham. Asks you, oh, are you in town for pleasure or looking for work, perhaps? And if it's the second part, I could definitely use some help.
What sort of help are you looking for, friend? We
Money
are
is
on
always
our
good.
way, but a little work Wouldn't do bad to tide us over.
Well, just a bit south of here, we've run into a few problems with, well, people call them bandits. I don't like to use that term exactly. They've set up a bit of a, a toll across the road, charging people, but um, it's
Sounds much like bandits.
eh, I suppose that's true, but it's more about who they are that makes me not want to call them that.
And who would they be?
Well, the leader is a man by the name of Miles Taskerville, and actually, uh, Rowan can do. You can do a history check with advantage, and I would
Yeah.
say, uh, Grix, you could just do a straight roll.
History check, straight
Yeah.
roll.
My best skill. There.
Ooh, I got an 11. Ooh, you got a 21. Thank goodness.
So, you would be very familiar with Miles Taskerville. Miles Taskerville is a former knight, um, and he was a knight in the service of a Lord Crossholt, of Rayla. Uh, Lord Crossholt was actually a nobleman within Rayla, and I guess for those of you that are familiar, the best way to describe what Miles Taskerville is now, if you're familiar with Samurai, he would be a Ronin, in that he worked for a lord. His lord lost his lordship, and therefore Miles lost his knighthood as well. And similarly to what happened to Samurai who lost their lords, they called them Ronins. They didn't have a master, and most other lords would not want to accept them into their service because why would you trust someone who is loyal to someone else? Um, and
Does Rowan know under what circumstances Lord Crossholt lost his lordship?
he would, and in fact, it is something that has happened many times in recent years. He was declared a traitor.
Was it like sound reasoning or is it like a hit job?
It's sound reasoning that is not shared with the general public.
Okay.
Reasoning.
It's not,
that
it wasn't just like he pissed off the wrong person. They were like, oh, he's gone.
Well,
Now-
in the sense that he pissed off the royal family.
Okay.
Yeah. On that note, if I remember my Tredavorian Empire lore correctly, which there has been a relatively recent change in power there, or am I thinking of someplace else?
We
Um,
have heard rumors, right, of
of the king himself being somewhat ill, and
Yes.
the prince sort of taking on a leadership role.
Hmm. Okay. So was he? Was he exiled with the king in charge or with the prince in charge?
I mean, technically, the king is still in charge. The prince is
Right.
not, but it would have been probably within the last 5 years that this has happened. So um, it's a little bit iffy. It could go either way. But
Okay.
the king was never known to do these types of things in general.
Hmm.
He was very trusting of his nobility, and his eldest son is very uh, he's very different, and he is very focused on conquest. He's actually one of the big reasons that Tredevoria has taken so much land from Aricania, He's also a proponent of taking Rivengard back, which the king is the one who basically ceded Rivengard to itself, and the prince has always felt that was not the right thing to do.
Right.
Yes, and there's never any stories of princes killing their fathers for the throne.
That's not really a thing that's ever happened in history anywhere.
Yeah.
I don't think. Did I ever put his name anywhere? I have
You
the
did
king.
not.
I have Siegfried being the king. I wrote it down somewhere, but I'm looking at my notes and I don't even have it written here.
I think you actually sent it to me at one point while I was like doing character creation stuff. I can dig through and find it probably, but
Yeah,
in the meantime,
it's not super important to know his name at the moment, but
so
but you would be familiar. You would have been familiar with Lord Crossholt, and Crossholt would have been at least after he was stripped of his nobility. He wasn't killed, but he said, Crossholt himself said that it was because he dared question the expansion of Tredevoria into Araucania. He believed it was wrong for them to take the land, especially because Araucania still can't really defend itself from that invasion, essentially. So he felt that was wrong, and essentially was punished for it. And Miles Taskerville was one of the knights in the service of Crossholt, and without a lord to serve, and also, even if there were other lords that would be willing to accept someone else's knight into their service, it probably wouldn't look very good to take on someone's knight who was accused of treason. Even if they wanted to, it just looks bad to say, "Oh yeah, your lord that you were loyal to was a traitor, and now I'm going to bring you in." That just doesn't look good. If you're afraid of the royalty, it's probably not a good idea. So, Mr. Taskerville has taken to banditry at this point, it seems.
You said that they were located on the road south.
About 2 days travel to the south. It's not only impacting a bit of our tourism, but affects our town supplies and our commerce. And I would ask that you find a way to deal with the man. I wouldn't suggest anything so drastic as trying to kill him. He's obviously very dangerous, but also he was a good man at one point.
It's a shame what happened. Tell me though, what would our reward be for dealing with it? I would be happy to help, of course, but we do not work for free, and I'm certain some of my companions would protest to a charity like this.
Well, I suppose he kind of looks around and counts all of you. He's like, "Oh, big group of you. I could offer you 100 gold each."
That sounds good.
Rowan will look to the others and say, "What do you say? Little quick cash along the way?"
Will we have to return here?
Well, we certainly need some proof of your deeds. He is known for carrying a belt, or I suppose maybe called a bandolier of daggers around his person. If you could return something like that, we could put it in our museum of sorts. And you would know too that Taskerville is though he was a knight, he was a very roguish sort of character, even when he was a knight, using knives and throwing knives and archery and things like that. He wasn't like a a knight in the sense of like he was walking around in heavy plate armor and a shield and all that kind of stuff. He was
He's a dex fighter. Gotcha.
yeah, exactly.
Rix is going to kind of look at everyone and just say, well, I do know we need to get to Rayla. Does anyone know if we're making good time?
That is a good question.
You know about the tournament? We're gonna enter the tournament.
Didn't you take Keen Mind, Verlin?
I did.
So you know exactly how long it's taken you, and right? Isn't that what Keen Mind does? I can't remember. Like,
Yeah,
you never get
Keen
lost.
Line
Yeah.
would be like perfect memory for like a month, so he would know exactly when the tournament is scheduled to start and how many days it's been and yada yada yada.
Yeah, I mean, you certainly would have time to take a couple of days to get down there and a couple of days to get back. You even if it took you a little bit longer, you could still get to Rayla in time.
I believe we still have time, Grix, so we can.
If
do
we're going to
this.
have to, if we're going to have to wait in Rayla anyway, given the situation there, if anything, it might behoove us to do this job now.
No, we could certainly we could offer you a few rooms to stay as well for the evening, just for tonight. Before if you didn't want to head out right now, and it is getting pretty dark now, so it's probably like 7 o'clock in the evening at this point.
Yeah, we'll make a good name for Fortuna's favor too.
Hmm.
We're part of Fortuna's favor.
Oh well, I don't know what that is, but it would certainly make a name for it here since we've never heard of you before.
Yeah, we're a super amazing guild. We defeated giants.
Oh, and you'd certainly make you a name within Tredivoria as well. It's never a bad thing.
Yeah.
If we have time, I don't see why not at least look into it.
Well,
So stay here for the night then, and
great,
we'll move on in the morning. See about meeting this Taskville.
perfect. And
I will say, sir, if you do not want us to deal with him in a more violent manner, I cannot promise that we will be able to take his signature armaments.
Well, it's certainly if you must do more than talk to him, that is certainly understandable. It just it's as you said, it's a shame the path that he's taken, and it would certainly be better if he didn't have to die. Just basically just get him to move on,
Of course. Tell you what, we will bring you some proof, though I cannot guarantee it will be the specific proof you ask. Agreed?
As long as he's on his way, that's really the only thing that's important.
He can write a note.
He can come say it himself.
Would maybe be better if he didn't actually come here, but sure. I mean, what a letter would be good, and it sort of points to Pebble.
I made a clever idea. I'm being real clever.
Who has the keen mind now, right? All right, so he will take you over to the inn, of which I don't have a name because it's not really all that important.
Joe's Inn.
Yes. The Hook and Ladder. So for anyone who is going to attempt to make any searches for anything that that Val would have left, you can go ahead and make a perception check.
Yeah, I'd be on that as well.
Pebble would attempt it.
Since Rowan's the only one who actually can read it, if he, I mean, the thing is that like,
Iron
so
Thieves can as well.
Okay, so the thing is, like, Thieves' Cant isn't. It's not like it's hidden. It's just that if you just can't read
Coded.
it unless you know how to. You're all terrible, however.
That 13 was with a +9, so I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
As was my 10.
My 13 was a +0.
There we go. Sorry, it took me a hot minute.
Come on, Grace, just do it.
We'll
Oh,
find it.
fine.
Since everybody else did it. Wow. Wow.
Several 13s.
I was gonna assist Rowan.
You're gonna assist
Oh,
Pebble.
I'm kidding. I already rolled. We'll find it later.
search again in the morning.
I don't think I understand what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I just looked around. I find some shiny rocks, though.
Any written messages, things like that. Stuff left out of sight.
Would this rock be a secret message?
Rowan will look at the rock. I don't think so.
Nah, it's just a rock.
Looking for something more like writing.
Aurelia, do you want my rock? It's shiny.
Yes.
Here you go.
Thank you. I will definitely pocket it after holding it up and watching it glitter.
Well,
Yeah, so maybe there's a little bit of quartz in there. It shines a little bit.
Shiny quartz. That's acceptable. It's actually a very common mineral.
shall we continue our training, Pebble, before we rest?
Yeah. Okay, I think I'm getting really good.
Aurelia would join in with that.
I will sit on the side and observe.
Same.
Yes, just teaching Pebble, considering she would be smaller than the average competitor, how to defend better from downward strikes.
So everybody else, do another perception check, just as you're sort of like around the inn and you're listening to people talking.
Oof.
Better.
Still terrible.
Well, I mean, honestly, with Rowan's 18, I mean, he can hear enough for me to tell you what I was gonna possibly tell you. So you do hear people discussing Miles Taskerville a bit more, and sort of his rise from his fall from knight and rise to sort of a I don't want to say a Robin Hood type character. I mean, he is technically like a bandit. He does take money from other people, and he is known to be somewhat violent. But he sort of gained a reputation for taking over other bandit sort of like groups. And one of the people keep talking about something that they call the first night. Which is what he's famous for, and that he walked into a bandit camp essentially alone, killed the bandit leader, and somehow convinced everybody else to follow him instead. And it sort of like gained him a reputation of being a great leader, and also just sort of like this mysterious figure who's able to sort of get people to follow him.
Interesting. Rowan probably wouldn't share it tonight, but tomorrow, once we are on our way,
But yeah, I mean, that's another thing. So in the time Like that's the first night is what that's the, sort of like the story that people tell about him. But since then, he's continued to do similar things, and he's sort of taking over all the bandit clans.
Interesting.
That's certainly concerning.
Ah, concerning is a word for it. I'm not so sure.
In my experience, bandits do hold a lot of power. The only disadvantage is that they're spread out and unorganized.
I would agree with that. Still, Mr. Taskerville. I believe I have met him on at least one occasion. Though I doubt he would remember me. My impressions of him were positive. I'd be interested to hear what he has up his sleeve.
So let's. What's the plan? We go and you. And I point to Rowan. Is you talk.
Yes, of course. Ideally, we can get him to agree to leave the area. We can be paid for our services and hopefully avoid any unnecessary violence. From what I know of the man, he's mostly the honorable sort. Bit of a temper, maybe. Bit of a sly and underhanded streak to him, but I can appreciate that. Who knows? We may even be able to earn his favor and his help. Large organization like that could always come in useful.
I don't know how helpful it would be to get involved with a group who's led by someone accused of treason, but sure.
Technically, he wasn't accused of treason.
The way I see it, Verlin already puts us on the outs with Kingdom of Tredevoria. If they are hosting this Order of the Red Sun, another complication with that relationship is not much one to be worried about. A small price to pay.
Let's start moving.
Agreed.
As a side note, another thing about the Knights of the Red Sun, King Siegfried, at least in the past, would have never allowed them to be headquartered. I mean, especially in his capital city. So that's another sort of red flag, I suppose.
Yeah, you're painting the picture that the son worked with them, rid of the current king, to gain power. But I could see your point, having the head of an organization that murders entire guilds of things probably does not bode well for the royal family, IMO.
Well, especially because, again, the king never made any real advances towards overtaking Arcania, and the Arcania is where the Blood Hunters are from, basically. So that's another
Verlin's
red
gonna
flag. Get rid of them, and you run out. And Arcania doesn't really have a standing army to defend themselves. So yeah, there's all kinds of things that.
Verlin's gonna get the side quest to not get blood hunters locked out of the rest of the campaign.
Hey.
Pretty much.
I mean, you know, I would never lock things out of the campaign like Kankus and Tavaxis and.
Turtles. Why would you let me play a turtle?
Because they suffered it daily in the Purge 20 years ago.
Because they only
Or-
lived 50 years, even though they're one of the few species that can actually outlive humans. Why?
Or Warforged. Why couldn't I play a
Nope,
Warforged?
no
I'm
Warforged.
so upset.
You don't want us to have any robot waifus?
Yeah, it's not even so much that you know the Order of the Lycans I actually had exist in this world, but were wiped out just because I didn't really like werewolves. But as far as like the Kinko and stuff, they just literally do not exist. The Dragonborn exist. We just haven't met any of them yet. That's as close to animal characters as we'll get.
Anywho, I go to sleep.
So
yeah. I mean,
the-
go to sleep, get up the
yeah,
next day.
Yeah, so you guys are making your way south, knowing that the journey south will take you a couple of days. And I'd say probably with about 3 hours or so into the journey on the first day, you come across a young woman who's actually being harassed by two sort of burly men. All three of them, the woman and the burly man on the road, are all riding horses. You can see that the horse that the woman is riding is pulling a cart, and you can hear that her horse is also kind of making a bit of noise, getting a little bit jumpy, I guess. And you can hear her sort of yelling, and then basically it's on a little bit of a hill off in the distance, and you can hear her horse baying a bit, and you can hear her starting to yell incoherently, and then after that you can hear two male voices, and you can see that as you get a bit closer, that the cart that she has is actually full of apples, and that one of the men is actually sort of in front of her horse and cart, sort of blocking her way, and the other guy has gotten off of his horse and is starting to like take apples out of the cart and putting them into his saddlebags.
We're looking for bandits.
Very well. Do I lead, or are we going straight for the weapon?
Well, you can try and talk to them, but as soon as they refuse, we can resort to other means.
Ron will kind of stand up, shake the stiffness from riding in the cart out, take a moment to clear his head, and then just ride up ahead of the group and call out, "Gentlemen, a moment of your time, please."
And as the guy who's up on the horse in front, he sort of like he turns around and he kind of moves his horse out of the way, so that you can see that she is kind of at the point trying to get back up onto her horse, and the guy in the back is still trying to take as many apples as he can. They're not. It doesn't appear that they're trying to hurt her. They were basically just trying to steal her apples.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy up front sort of like stops and sort of sneers at you and says, "Can we help you?"
Why, absolutely, I believe you can. See, I'm looking for a gentleman around these parts. I expect he is either your foe or your employer, given the rumors. A Miles Caskerville?
His sneer kind of drops a little bit. What do you want with him?
Depends what you know.
Well, I know
That said,
he's like, I know he's got 100 men. Now, what do you want with him?
You wouldn't happen to be one of them, would you?
Work for the man from time to time. And you see he kind of puffs his chest out a little bit, like he's kind of proud of that fact.
Is that so? I'd very much like to hear where he's at. Say it's a calling from an old friend. Of course, first, I'd greatly appreciate it if you put those apples back so we can talk about this civilly without all the panic going on. You don't mind?
And you see the guy up front gets out. I mean, he fully moves his horse out of the way, and she's kind of up on there, and she sort of just waits, like it's fine, and she just starts like trying to leave as quickly as possible. She doesn't wait for them to put anything back. You can see the other guy sort of like what he has left, he's kind of putting his saddlebags, and then he starts eating one of them.
Can I eyeball at all, like, how much he's got of it? Like, does it look like he's unloaded a significant portion of her cargo at this point?
I mean, it's nothing like it's going to bankrupt her necessarily, but
Okay. She has to come our way to get to leave, right?
yeah. So she's going towards to Wrexham.
Okay. Just as she's coming up past me, I'll just kind of do my best to kind of get her attention. Just get a like stop at the cart behind me for now. We'll see about getting those apples back here.
You can see that she goes a bit further, but kind of slows down and stops
Mm.
far enough away that she's kind of out of danger, I suppose.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Now, you say that you've worked for the man, have you?
He sort of just shrugs.
I'd be very interested here where he's at nowadays. Wouldn't happen to be information that you have, would it?
He sort of
And
just sighs. He's like,
as Rowan says this, he flashes a coin briefly.
kind of raises an eyebrow, like, keep heading down the road. You'll find him eventually.
Hmm. Last I heard, a couple days' travel, right?
Sounds about right.
Well, you may want to hurry ahead. Just heard in the last town that they're sending someone up from Rayla to take him out.
He sort of just chuckles. No, they'll never get into his camp, and neither will you.
Oh, is that so? Why would that be, my friend? You seem quite confident.
Well,
Surely.
he looks around and says, well, so far Rayla hasn't done anything, and you are certainly outnumbered.
I suppose that is true, though, as I said, I am merely here to meet with the man. He'll want to hear what I have to say.
And he sort of goes, well, be that as it may, I don't. And he sort of like, he just turns and starts going back towards the opposite direction.
Well, fair enough, I suppose. Just let him know that there's an old friend coming to meet with him.
He sort of just like waves his hand as he's walking away. The other guy just sort of laughs and continues eating apples.
Yep, that's fine.
They both head off.
Rowan will go back to the party. And this person who has been accosted walk past the party, go to the person who's been accosted. Says, dear, how much do they take from you?
Oh, just a few silvers worth. It's not a big deal.
Oh, well, that's good to hear. And Rowan will take the gold piece he was playing before and put it in her hand. Suppose that should make up for their bad manners at the very least.
So, thank you very much, sir. And she heads back. And you get the kind of the idea that this is what the dwarf was talking about, how like she's probably someone who's bringing in supplies that have been disrupted by the bandits.
Back to the party. Well, whatever's going on with them, they seem quite confident.
You know, that was kind of you to give the lady the coin.
Of course. After all, I promised her apples back, and I didn't exactly succeed there.
True, but I have to be honest, I wasn't quite convinced you had it in you.
Everything serves to a purpose. She'll go back and say very kind things about us. Trust me, I am in this for me.
That I don't doubt.
Ah. In any case, gentlemen, it seems like they are actually up ahead. Our assistant, shall I say, our employer, seems to have good information. Although they are entirely too confident for my taste about their numbers and their defenses to worry about us.
Well, generally numbers give people confidence.
Hmm.
I mean, unless they have some casters among them, I could see that being a boost.
We were just vastly outnumbered by giants. I'm not bandits, yes, but most of them tend to be rather stupid and just have one charismatic or intelligent leader.
No, don't get me wrong. I'm not worried about our safety. I'd just rather talk to the man than have to fight him, and if we have to carve a bloody path to his front door, that certainly sours the tone.
True, but
Are you taking pity that they have us surrounded?
They are misguided if they believe that they can handle Fortuna's favor without at least some losses.
while I appreciate the confidence you all have, it's the difference between a few giants at a time in a constant stream and 100 men in a fortress charging at once. I wouldn't get too overconfident.
Why would we allow them to charge all at once?
Because if we enter their base under pretense of peace and things turn sour, then we are surrounded. If we try to break in, they have the defendable position, men. If we meet them in the open, they have the men and easily surround us. Don't believe because what we've done makes us immune to dying.
I don't think it makes us immune, but I think that we are more well prepared now than we would have been before that experience.
If we run into any more along the way to this gentleman, I would ask that we try a more forceful approach. As long as it is a number we can easily handle, I might have a bit of an idea.
Well, you are one of the most personable here, so yes, follow you.
He's probably the only one that has charisma over 10.
Grix uses logic, not charisma.
Ah, though Verlin, you do have a point, but it is fun to fluff the ego now and then.
There's nothing wrong with having confidence. There's just issues when your confidence can get you killed.
Oh no, Urin actually has some charisma to him.
Oh, a little bit, I think.
Plus, it's +2. Better than Caden.
Out of curiosity, Matt, given their travel pace when they left us, does it seem reasonable that we might catch up to them?
I mean, they were not sticking around. I mean, they were. You probably wouldn't, given the fact that they're on riding horses by themselves, and you are with draft horses, multiple draft horses, in fact. And
that's fine. I say we simply continue on our way and hope to be accosted ourselves.
Well, if you wish to follow the more forceful route, and we do get accosted, Would you care for me to take point?
Certainly. Just don't ruin their faces too badly if you can avoid it.
Berlin is a blade vortex.
I will try not to kill them, considering pain can generally generate information.
True. Very well. Onward we continue then.
With what Verlin did say, I don't think that trying to go in on friendly terms would be beneficial.
I agree.
Maybe more of a quiet entrance, or something like you know, just taking out a few at a time and trying to make our way in.
Grix, my friend, is exactly what I was thinking.
What about a fire?
As distraction, or would you be
Well-
hoping to get them out?
Hoping to get them out.
Well, that depends on their fortifications. If they're in a cave, a fire only works so much. If they are in a wooden structure, it would be more effective.
Plus, facing their apparently swelling numbers in an open field seems to be a disadvantage to us. Still, I may have another way in. And Rowan will snap his fingers and cast Disguise Self and turn into the bandit he just talked to.
Well, I can definitely make a bit of a distraction. I've come across some better illusionary spells that can make them think that something very large is happening.
And I can explode. Sometimes.
I can make the terrain in one area difficult, and then punch things.
That's where I'm just good at hunting and killing.
But you do quite well.
Still think we need a bit more finesse than that. But if it comes to it, I do trust you all in that sense.
We can make a secret word, and then when you say the secret word, we can all jump and attack him at the same time.
Yes, we certainly can. Would you like to think of the secret word, Pebble?
Yeah.
How about you think about that while we travel, okay?
Okay. It's stinky cheese.
Yes, I believe myself and Rowan will quite easily think of a way to put the words stinky cheese into a conversation.
Yeah, see?
Plus, if we're going to be dealing with
Can make it work.
numbers, Pebble, I may change up how we're going to train tonight.
Okay.
And
Will
soon
we
after
do
this,
Dragon Dance?
I could use a bit of a game of wits. If you have a spare deck, I can play. And Rowan will just let the disguise self go, end it rather promptly. Just showing that he could, more than actually trying to maintain it.
So traveling along the road where you guys decide to stop, and actually for most of the day that you've been traveling, the road is lined by a pretty thick forest and even like some hedgerows and stuff. So you don't really have a lot of room to go off the road to camp. So they're little small little outcroppings and stuff, sort of like up against the foliage and stuff that is off the road. That is enough room for you to get your cart and everything off of there. But you're not you're still probably within 30 feet or so of the road at all times. Um, and the evening is quite pleasant. There's kind of a cool breeze. It is starting to get to the end of the summer, as that's the end of summer sort of tournament that happens every 10 years or so. So it's definitely getting cooler in the evening. That you notice feels quite nice. You guys do set up a small little campfire. Sort of, we'll have you guys recounting the conversation that you had with the bandits and all the stuff that you were just discussing,
Mm.
and sort of deciding which of you would take first watch. So you guys can decide that if you'd like.
Hmm.
Well, I
I'm
think,
normally one for getting ample rest, but while the light remains at least a bit, I suppose I should take the first.
I mean, isn't Grix casting his?
Yeah, my big old fortress.
I mean, we can still take watches, but I think that'll make it a bit easier.
I have goggles of night now, so I can take whatever watch no one else wants.
Hmm.
I'm up for whatever.
I can sit there and look outside.
The goggles can also be on loan. Don't think I'm gonna hoard them.
Don't worry, I can see in the dark.
Do those goggles have to be attuned? Question mark.
No.
Well, luckily with my new eyes, I can see in the dark.
New eyes?
He stabbed himself in the eyes.
Now his eyes are kind of weird.
For the love of the gods, why would you do something like that?
Well, I wasn't able to see in the dark, so I did experiments on creatures who could, and mutated my eyes.
I'll be honest, I genuinely thought he blinded himself when he first told me.
No, that was just the process of change.
Could you actually have become blind?
It wasn't becoming blind, it was my eyes adjusting to the physical changes.
And also, it was just him messing with me. And then I brought you into it, Rowan.
Yes, don't remind me.
Do you have to mutilate yourself in order to make changes to your physiology?
Depends on the change. This is the first time noted, anyway, of a human gaining dark vision.
I suggest using human in air quotes at this point.
Yeah.
Also, I'm just as a side note, reading Private Sanctum, I'm assuming that you are not using the first bit of that, because I would assume you would want sound.
Oh yeah, I want to hear if someone's approaching.
Yeah. Okay. Just making sure.
I would also encourage you to let us remain visible. That way we can see out, others can see in.
Well, I think you could see out either way.
Yes, but if we're going to be accosted by bandits, it helps if they can tell where we are.
But with this spell, we can't be attacked. It would, unless they had a very powerful spellcaster. There's nothing they could do for a 24-hour period.
I like the fact I didn't realize that if you did that every day for a year, it just becomes permanent. You just have
Neither
a
did
friend
I.
thing forever. That's really cool.
Well, tomorrow morning we can run around and say, oh, we have a lot of money.
True, I suppose we could try to get ambushed during the day.
Oh no, I have gold in my pocket. Whatever shall I do?
So are you all taking a watch, or are you just gonna let the private sanctum do its thing?
I think I would vote we still all take watch to see if
Agreed.
anyone is like scouting us out or anything like that as well.
Yep.
All right. So what's the order of that?
I will do the middle watch because I can see in the dark.
Well, as long as we can pass around the goggles of night, we can all see in the
In Rowan's case, he just needs one, the monocle of night.
Yeah.
I mean, I can help, but this is not my strong suit.
I'll take a watch as long as I can borrow the goggles.
Absolutely. And I'll take a watch after you. How's that sound?
Sounds like a deal.
Before we all like split for the night, and Grix is gonna kind of look at everyone and just say, "So tomorrow is the day we would be arriving at this camp, right?"
In theory,
Hy-
yes.
Okay.
Hypothetically.
All right. So Grix is gonna kind of look at everyone and say, "I don't have to have this spell ready again for tomorrow, and just in case we have more dangerous circumstances. So, what kind of things would you like me to prepare? Like spying and such, or perhaps hurting people."
I'd say that's more of a personal choice. I would suggest what I would do on a hunt, which is hope for the best, prepare for the worst.
Well, I just if I'm preparing spells to look in and try to get in there quietly, and everyone else wishes to go in slashing and stabbing, that wouldn't be beneficial. So I'm sort of going to base it off of what you all plan on trying to do.
I believe we should try to go in quietly, personally. We don't want to, as I said, ruin our chances at diplomacy with this man through a violent altercation. And, frankly, I'd like to see if he can possibly just move on and maybe help us in the future. And harming his forces too badly could inhibit his ability to be useful.
Civility would be preferred.
Let's just hope there will be a way to sneak in.
Grix, do you have any spells that would assist with that process?
Yes, I do. I, how you were able to change how you look, I can do the same, but also making myself taller and such to really look human. I can also peer into further away distances or listen in if there's a locked door. I can be sure of what's on the other side. Uh, just kind of if we see a guard, I can tell what he is thinking about and such.
Interesting.
But
What can
I
Victor
will
do
be.
for us?
Excuse me.
What can Victor do for us? I almost forgot he existed.
He's more of a messenger back to the guild in Moira, but I do have Archie who can also I can see through his eyes and such.
He should be able to see in the night. So, I mean, you could always send him out. We're in the foresty kind of area, yes? He should blend right in.
Well, and Grix, like pull or like snaps his fingers and makes a owl that has a wizard hat on his head come out, and Grix goes, "Fey owl, not very camouflaged in this realm."
Oh, but he's so cute. Look at the tiny hats.
But yeah, yes, I could send him around for the night.
Oh, I figured, since apparently humans don't have very good night vision, according to Berlin, I figured if they tried to surround us in the dark, we could at least maybe get a better sense of their numbers or what their paths are for their security details.
That is true. Then Verlin, I'll take your advice. Hope for the best with preparing most of my spells to try to get in quietly, but prepare for the worst and have a few reserved for violence.
I think that sounds like a good idea.
That's generally what my order does. But hopefully we can be civil.
Hmm.
It's unlikely he'll be willing to give up everything he's accumulated.
We shall see.
I'm gonna get started with making dinner for the party.
I am gonna go and get ready for bed.
I am going to attempt to train Pebble on how to defend redirected attacks.
Yay!
All right, so who's on first watch?
I'll
And
do it.
Grix would like to, since I do still have sending prepared before I go to sleep. I would like to send a message to Quinn, asking if he's ever heard of this person and has any idea of the reason behind his him being stripped of his title.
Well, I mean, so I mean, who are you going to ask? Because Lord Crossholt is the one who lost his title. Taskerville
Okay.
was a knight for the Lord.
Okay, so I'll ask first about the Lord who lost his title, and then I would follow it up with, because I could do it 3 times, so I'll just do it twice. But I would ask first about why the Lord lost his title, and then if he had any if he had any information on the Taskerville as well.
So last that Quinn had heard is that upon being declared a traitor, Lord Crossholt was essentially exiled, which is what generally anybody would be done. However, in recent times, again, many believe that the prince is involved in this. That basically anyone who, and there are a number of them, anyone who has been exiled in the past has now a bounty on their head as well. So Lord Crossholt actually fled to Aricania, but nobody knows exactly where he went. Obviously, he would have not used his name anymore. And Quinn doesn't know a whole lot about Taskerville other than he would assume that he is no friend of the Tredivorian Empire at this point, and whatever it is that he's doing is probably against whatever it is that the Tredivorian Empire is about. Given the fact that they basically destroyed his life and his livelihood.
I will relay the information I get to everyone.
Hmm. Seemed safe to surmise as much, but it's good to have confirmation, I suppose.
the main thing that you would have learned from Quinn in that regard, again, Quinn grew up in Tredevoria. Quinn grew up in Rayla, as well as because he was a childhood friend of Ada, and Ada worked for the royals. In fact, she was one of the royal bodyguards. Um, but no one had ever previously discussed that with them. So the idea that essentially the anyone who had been exiled having that sentence commuted to death is a pretty big deal.
And now, does I mean, I guess this would just be more of a question if I would know. Is are the people who were working for the Lord exiled as well, or were they just like stripped of titles, like stripped of their knighthood and such?
Originally, when he would have lost his title, they would not have been necessarily part of the official punishment, but it was more of an unofficial punishment, and that again, no one would have hired them, so they
Okay.
were not officially stripped of their knighthood. So technically, he would still, in theory, be Sir Miles Taskerville, but he again, he's a Ronin. He's a masterless knight. So
Okay. So he wasn't part of the exile. It was just only the Lord.
correct, but everybody,
Okay.
but by default, they were sort of
They're
exiled.
still
in the
frowned.
sense-
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. I got it.
because I mean, some of them may have like opened up a shop, and that would have been an acceptable thing, but like none of them would have been able to remain knights essentially in the service of anyone else.
Okay. I got you.
Being a high-ranking officer in a government that falls, or microcosm of a government that falls, tends to have consequences, even if they aren't.
Exactly, and whether or not, like, as an example, from what you've learned, it doesn't sound like Taskerville would have been interested in joining someone else anyway. But if he would have wanted to join it, someone else's noble house, um, there again, that unofficially there was nothing that would have stopped anyone from doing so. But it's basically just one of those unwritten rules that you don't. If someone is exiled for treason, you don't hire people who worked for them and were loyal to them to work for you, because it just doesn't look good.
The optics are bad.
Exactly. Regardless of whatever, if Taskerville had been the most patriotic, live and die for Tredevoria, it still wouldn't have mattered.
Then yeah. Aside from that, bed for the night. Well, until I have a watch.
Yep.
So whoever's doing first watch, go ahead and do a perception check.
Perception. Yay. Fair.
It's actually it's a pretty calming evening. Again, you notice that the evenings are getting significantly cooler. There is that nice cool breeze. Um, the sounds of the evening, you even notice, have started to change. Whereas obviously in the middle of summer, you've got the humidity, you've got all the chirping insects, and you still hear them. Obviously, you still hear the insects, but you notice that the quantity of them seems to have lessened a little bit as the seasons have started to change.
Hmm.
But that's all you notice. It's kind of peaceful. Allows you to think. So who's next?
Aurelia.
All right, perception check. Nice. So Aurelia, actually, you notice that the breeze over time actually starts to die down a little bit, and the sounds of the night kind of hush for a moment, and off in the distance, from the direction that you came, not the direction that you're going, you can start to see a bit of an orange glow further down the road, which you would assume, with a 20 on your perception, is a campfire. And often just a little bit, not not enough that you can clearly hear, but you do hear voices in the distance. Not coming towards you or anything. You assume that there are people sitting at a fire talking.
Fair enough. If I look at the trees and stuff around us, there's no disturbance.
Not that you notice.
All right. Would I have noticed earlier if the horses were fed?
Yeah, I mean, that probably would have been the thing that everybody had done before.
Okay,
You
just
guys-
double checking.
Yeah. I mean, just part of the preparation for everybody before you would go to sleep for the night. Take care of the animals.
Cool.
I'm sure that especially Urun would be about that, being the nature guy, kind of.
Fair enough. Yeah. See if anyone else needs my goggles as the night goes on.
I'll take the last watch, and if anyone wants to go with me, feel free. But
Dude,
if
you're
not,
the spellcaster. I would take the last watch. Didn't you just use the spell slot too? Like a high
I would
level
get a
spell?
long rest. You still get the long rest taking a watch.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
That said,
never mind.
Urun, I think, is the best person for keeping watch,
True.
tied with Rowan.
I don't know who the wisest person is.
He's wiser than me. I just also have other stuff.
Uran, go for it.
Oh, and monks are obviously very wise as well. So Urun, I don't know if Aurelia would have mentioned it to you, but even if she didn't, you would have noticed the same thing. And you would have heard the voices a little bit more clearly, and they sound like they're a bit louder as well. Actually, with a 25, you may have even been able to pick up a few. I actually heard a few of the things that were being said. And with a 25, that's pretty darn good. So you actually do hear, let's see, one, probably about 4 different voices. And you hear the first voice say, in kind of a deep, sort of scratchy voice, I say we kill them while they sleep. And the second voice that you hear says, but I need to recover my spells. And then you hear the first voice again saying that we don't need your spells. I'll slice them up real easy like. And then you hear a third voice that says, Miles, don't be hasty. We need to prepare. And then the fourth and final voice that you hear says, yes, Miles, we must wait until dawn. And then with that perception, I also will give you the fact that this conversation sounds very odd to your ears. It doesn't sound natural, I guess.
Can I kind of discern where they're located?
Yeah, I mean, you can basically see off in the distance. I mean, they're probably maybe 100, 120 feet down the road. Maybe a little
Huh.
further than that. But you can see the glow of the fire. You don't really see it's hard to kind of see the figures necessarily, but you could very clearly pick out what you would assume it was about 4 people, given the voices.
And are they like moving towards us, moving away, just kind of standing there and
They're
observing?
they were appeared to be not moving. The voices didn't appear to be going any further away or any closer to you. All originating from the light.
Okay. So I'm gonna assume that they're too far to really, alert people and then do stuff about. So I'm gonna try to pretend that I fell asleep while on watch. Can I just like, I don't know, fall over or do something to like lay out on the, next to the fire and make it look like I'm going to sleep? Try to draw them in.
I mean, yeah, like from what you can tell, though, I mean, like I said, they didn't appear to be attempting to do anything other than they were just sitting there talking.
Um, and I don't. Okay, wait. So, shit. I don't think I have a way to wake people up, do I?
Shake them.
I mean, yeah, you can just
Oh.
wake 'em up.
Just wake people up.
I mean, discreetly, because I'm assuming that if they see me waking people up, that they're going to run.
Well, that's the thing. So you don't get the impression that they even know that you're there, necessarily.
Oh. Then
I mean,
yeah, I'll.
again, aside from what I mean, like what they were saying sounds like they may have know that you guys are there, but they've made no movements towards you.
Okay, and if I stand up, they don't seem to see me.
I mean, the best way that I would describe it, so the road that you guys are on is not necessarily like a straight shot. So they're kind of a little bit of an alcove, and then like the hedgerows and the bushes kind of go out a little bit towards the road, and then you guys are in like an alcove further down. So you can't even clearly see where they are. You can basically just see a glow in the distance, and then you could hear the voices, but you can't directly see their fire. So you assume that they can't directly see yours. You also would have, because you specifically were
Because we're in the
trying.
sanctum, though, right? I guess I didn't know
Yeah.
if they were able to see us through the sanctum, but
I mean,
so
I don't know. I think there was some discussion about that because I know that like
Yeah,
Rowan
I mean,
wanted
I
it.
just listened to Rowan. I
Okay.
left it so we could see in here.
Okay.
okay.
I would say even with that though, your fire would be dimmer than theirs.
Okay, then I will go and I will wake up Verlin first, and then explain the situation. There's bandits up that way. They called one of them by name, Miles. Sounds like the man we're looking for. And then I will go and start waking up the others.
All right. Well, real quick before we get to that bit, since we've got about an hour left to go, let's take a quick break. I'm gonna go grab a drink. So if anybody needs a drink or go to the restroom, whatever, do that real quick, and then we will pick it up from there.
Sounds good.
Good.
Yep.
We're all being woken up.
Yep.
Okay.
I get to test out my new armor.
I mean, no one's gonna hit you. What do you mean?
Well, it's Mithril.
Yeah, but this is gonna get this combat's gonna be so smooth. They're just gonna sneak up, kill them all, except the guy, and we'll convince him to be our buddy.
Well, it was more of a case of I no longer have disadvantage on stealth.
Shh, they don't know that.
With Mithril, though, right?
Yes.
I think I'm wearing heavy armor though, so I probably have
Oh, yeah.
a disadvantage.
All the heavy
right?
armors do.
Yeah,
I think splint armor.
and some
Yeah.
mediums as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I'm currently wearing Mithril half plate plus 1.
Technically, some of the light armors even give you disadvantage.
Depends
Padded armor gives you disadvantage on stealth for some reason.
Plus, I think it depends on the material as well.
I think the padded armor had to do because I think by description it's stiff. But I don't know.
Yeah, that's one that just like it just doesn't make sense to me because it's literally just like fabric.
All right. What do you
I
guys
don't know.
gonna
I mean, I feel like it'd be like wearing a winter jacket. You know what I mean?
Mm.
I mean, I
Oh.
suppose like it really just also depends too. Like, for me, if you're stealthing in like a cave or a tunnel and you got a big puffy padded armor, it would make sense that maybe that would make some noise, like rubbing against the, the walls or something. But if you're out in a field, it doesn't seem like that would be something that would make a lot of noise. But I mean,
Plus, I mean, if we're looking at like historical padded armor, it's literally just like
cotton cloth,
wearing 3
like,
shirts.
yeah. I mean, that's also, you can make any kind of things that you want to say too, because I mean, like leather would even creak, if it wasn't,
Oiled.
exactly. So it could make noise as well, depending on how stealthy you really want it to be. Whether or not it's enough to give you disadvantage, I don't know. But
Well, I mean, you need
certainly
to wear
plate
that
armor.
How
Yeah,
are you gonna see it's not made of hide?
just play a barbarian. Just don't wear any clothes at all. Just run around naked. It's fine.
Pebble?
Pebble could.
All right. So what are you guys gonna do? You're sneak
Hide
up-
in sanctum and cry. No, I'm joking.
We're all awake. We've all heard this conversation. Well, no, we haven't heard it, but it's been relayed to us.
We should just go punch them now.
And I would say the only thing that with that 25 again, Uran, you would the conversation, you heard what they said, but everything that they said, it didn't sound. It sounded like a very unnatural conversation. I don't know how else to explain it. It didn't sound
They're
like
mind controlled, or
No, I mean,
Like the audio quality. Like,
it just didn't feel like a regular conversation between
Like bad
people.
acting.
Something. I mean, like that maybe. I mean, it didn't. I guess it just didn't sound. It sounded almost like people were
Stage whispering?
more so that they were like it was like it was almost like they were reading rather than speaking. Like it didn't. You know what I mean? Like
Scripted.
yeah.
Maybe they're trying to lure us out and then they're going to ambush us. But now we know, so we could ambush them back.
I mean, is anyone here good at sneaking? We could always, reverse. Oh, wait, no, Archimedes. Grix, you have Archimedes.
I can also kind of sneak.
Well, yeah, I can send them out. But if they are doing this to set us up, it would be smarter to wait until daytime, so I can have my spells back. But I can send the owl.
Yeah, I'm just saying, you can go take a peek and we won't really have to leave.
worst case scenario, you can always call them back later, right?
Yes.
Well, let's do that. I don't think we're gonna get much sneakier than an owl this time of day, so.
This time of night?
Oh, and I will
Eh.
give the goggles back to Aurelia.
Oh, thank you. It will help to see.
I like that all of our best watchers don't have dark vision.
So I will send Archimedes up, let him take a look around, see if he could see any people like hiding around aside from the group of 4 that are in that little area.
Do a perception check.
Right, he has advantage because he is an owl.
Nice. So, he sees a lot with a natural 20. So you can see that they have a covered wagon. Not your guys is more of a carriage. This is just a covered wagon. And you can see that it sort of was in between where you guys were and their fire, which is why you couldn't see clearly. Is that now that you're looking there, you can see that it was basically blocking your view of the fire. And they have 2 draft horses that are tied to a tree on the other side of the campfire. There are 4 men sitting at the campfire. There is a short, sort of stocky man. He's got some scruff on his face, a scar that goes down his left cheek. He's wearing leather armor, and he's got sort of a gold-studded bandolier of daggers, and he's sort of like shuffling a dagger between his fingers. There is another man, sort of slender, short black hair. He's got like some glasses on, wearing brown robes, and he's got a quarterstaff next to him. There is another man wearing chainmail. He looks like he's got some throwing hammers at his side, and then there's a very burly guy with a brown beard. He's got what appears to be full plate armor and a long sword. So a number of things jump out at you as you're looking at this. Number one, the short, stocky man with a bit of scruff on his face and the gold bandolier, which is what you were told to look for from Miles, does not fit the description of Miles because Miles is not short, nor is he stocky. Upon closer inspection, we'll say that even Archimedes kind of lands up in one of the trees so that he doesn't have to just fly overhead. All of the equipment that they're wearing looks like trash. I mean, it is not well made at all.
All right. Grix is going to kind of look and just say, "Oh, they're making it up. Miles isn't really there. No one fits the description. They all look rather ragged and just poor."
So it is a trick.
Yes, my first thought was someone just go out and yell, "We know you're not Miles," but yeah, so keeping the element of surprise and all that.
So I actually did not give you a description of Miles, but Miles has he's an older gentleman at this point. He actually has white hair that he sort of keeping with the theme of the samurai and the Ronin has a bit of a he takes his long hair and sort of puts it up in a bit of a top knot, and he has kind of a long, not long, but a not the most well kept beard. Comes to a point, and he's got kind of a pointy mustache as well. And one of his distinguishing features is that he does happen to have a scar that goes down his left cheek. However, in addition to that scar, like our good friend Rowan, he also has a patch over his eye where that scar took his eye out.
Grix is going to kind of look at everyone and just say, I really don't want to have to deal with this. Just I don't know what they want, but I can poke my head out of this barrier I created and send a message into one of their minds saying that if they don't want to die, they need to leave.
No. Rowan, what do you think about people seeking infamy by stealing another's name?
I think it's a dangerous game to play right on that man's doorstep. If I had to hazard a guess, I would suspect they're likely working with them. The question is, how can we turn that in our favor?
That's why I thought of sending them a message because a scary message, middle of the night in the middle of the forest, it might get them to change their mind about either aiding us in gaining an audience or even just information.
Can you send a spooky message right into their mind?
And without talking, I just point over at Pebble and just say yes.
That would be spooky.
Rowan will also point at Pebble, do the exact same thing, and just ask, "Can't you?"
Well, everybody can do that. Can you do that? She looks at Verlin.
I will point at Grix. And
Grix immediately tries to play along with a huge surprised look on his face. Probably terrible, but he's gonna try.
Aurelia will point both fingers at Pebble, one at Pebble and one at Verlin, and just be like, no.
No? You're
You know
trying
he's
to
lying.
trick me.
Grix just kind
No,
of
not magical.
Grix just kind of goes, well, if when I do that in your mind, you can for a short period of time respond in the same way,
Do it again. Do it again.
and I will just once again say hello.
Hello. Except she says it out loud.
Grix just, oh, I heard it, but I also did sense it just inside my head.
Ooh.
In any case, not that this isn't riveting, and not that I, didn't start it,
Did
but
anyone have to go?
I'm not convinced that we should let them know the game quite yet. Seems to me that letting them think they have fooled us may be more beneficial than calling them out.
Well, my concern is, as you've said, if we're going there and trying to sneak in, these people clearly know where we are right now. They're doing this so that we hear them. So we have to either get rid of them, or we have to sneak away so they can't merely just follow us and inform the real Miles that we're coming.
Doesn't he already know that we're coming, though, because of that man from earlier? Like, I'm sure they have people lined along the road to pass it down like a game of telephone. Messenger.
That is still a possibility, but it's not nearly as informative as having an actual group who has followed us the entire way.
I agree we should confront them in some way.
I can scare them into coming closer to us.
I think we might be better off trying to lure them closer by letting them think that they have us fooled. The only reason to broadcast this kind of information would be to let us know. Oh, yeah. The only reason to broadcast that kind of information would be to attempt to draw us in, correct?
Yes.
So, what if one or two of us goes and walks into a trap?
I can certainly do that.
I can do that too, and I can explode for them.
We'll see whatever they were going to spring on the lot. and then turn it around on them. At the very least, we end up with 4 guests who may be able to help us.
If we're planning on letting them pretend, or as far as they know, ambush us, why would it not be more beneficial to just completely ambush them?
Well, how does this sound
We don't
instead?
have to kill them. We could subdue them, but why would letting them have any idea where even 2 of us are help us?
How does this sound? Why don't some of you sneak through the woods? I shall walk on the main road, get their attention, and everyone else can sneak in.
Yes, but my point is that they know our numbers. They know what we look like at this point. If one of us is just walking down the road, you don't think they'll find that odd, especially in the middle of the night?
Just have them catch you with literally your pants down.
Or one of us can step out of the sanctum and be like, "Oh wow, this is a lovely night. I'm just going to take a walk." And say it super loud so that they hear, and then they come closer, and then you drop the sanctum and we all jump on them.
Their ploy seems to be to get us to act on them to begin with. I'm sure they're aware that we might do so as a group.
Well, how long does the sanctum last?
It will last until the time I casted it last night into tomorrow, so an entire day.
I'm genuinely surprised it lasts that long. Good on you. You must have some strong magic.
This is one of the newer ones, but my point still stands. I think we have probably 2 options, but letting them. I don't think letting them think that they ambush us is the best idea, especially when they know how many people are traveling with us. If they see 2 alone, they wouldn't know something's going on. The same way we know something's going on by the way that they're talking.
Well, I mean, do we have like nets or anything? I mean, we could always try to reverse it, right? Like, Berlin, do your animal traps work on people?
If they step into it, but I have a easier idea. Just hang on for a second. Valen's gonna walk out the sanctum.
Grix just fucking face palms, and it just there's no planning with you people.
Rowan smiles.
As soon as he steps out the sanctum, and he's just gonna yell, "You can stop pretending and come and attack us now."
That was what I said the plan should be. He's following my plan.
Aurelia would shoot Grix a sympathetic look.
Rowan immediately goes from like grinning like a madman to, shit.
Grix is not getting his long rest.
I will arm myself and walk out.
So I got to remember what fucking spells I had before I switched them.
I mean, did you use message or?
No, I used sending. No, I didn't use sending this night. Actually, no, I did for Quinn. Yeah.
Yeah, so you use sending and then the 4th level slot for the sanctum.
What I'm saying is I switched my spells over for when I woke up in the morning.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. I thought wizards had all their stuff already prepared.
Nope. Oh god, I right now I know 33 spells.
But he can't cast that many.
Yeah, no, but that's what I thought. The point of being a wizard was that having everything in a book meant that everything was prepared.
No, you can choose. It's your level plus your spellcasting modifier to have prepared each day.
It's the same number prepared as like the cleric or the druid. It's just instead of doing it from a slightly small-ish spell list, it's a massive spell list, but only the ones you've got in your book.
And you have to pay for all of them as opposed to just being like, oh look, I know the spell because I'm divine.
You get 2 freebies at level, so that's still
true.
You still end up with like 44 spells by max level if you never buy any.
Paladins and clerics are like, yes, I know all the spells for my class automatically. I just know them all.
Because insert God here is great.
Exactly. All right, so Verlin, when you say that, you hear a surprised voice sort of yell back, saying, "I hope you're not talking to us. Just leave us be."
Yes, unfortunately, we can hear you, fake Miles. Or would you prefer to keep playing make believe?
And you hear one of the other guys go, "Yeah, just we don't have anything of value. Just leave us alone."
I'll just start
I s-
walking up. No weapons
suppose
drawn.
yeah, I suppose that we can see at this point that there's no point in trying to play coy. Yes, we know you have nothing of value. We can see that quite clearly.
And we can hear you.
You can see as you're approaching, they all just kind of like stand up and kind of put their backs to the wagon. They look kind of uh, terrified.
Can I tell if they're faking or not?
Go perception check.
Perception or insight?
I don't know, whichever one you're better at, I guess.
Mine are actually equally good, so
All right,
it doesn't
just
matter.
pick one. I mean, from your experience, they all appear to be genuinely terrified. Um,
Something still isn't right with this gentleman. I I tend to believe that their reactions are genuine.
Maybe. Maybe they were faking. They just want to make someone who knows of all of the stuff scared, so that they would just give all their money and run away.
Been pretending to be the bandit leader in order to draw his eye so they could join.
Real quick, Matt. Can Grix just lay back down and go back to sleep? I have my thing cast. Is it possible?
I mean, if you're that genuinely unconcerned about what's going on, I guess.
It's 4 people. Yeah, Grix is going to do his best to lay back down and finish his rest.
I mean, I don't. That's fine with me. I don't care. Um, but the guy that's got the glasses on, you can see he kind of like just points. His hands kind of shaking, and he points to this piece of paper that's sitting on the stump next to the fire. It's like, we were hired.
I'll pick up the paper. Hired by who?
And you can see this is actually it's a contract.
And
It's
still
like,
just keeping eyes and ears on them to
yeah,
tell if they're like bullshitting us at all.
it is a contract to perform, and it is basically like an actual sort of document that basically it's got a few names on there. Uh, One of the names, well, it says Smythe Bardic Entertainment contracts with a man named Brill to perform at the birthday celebration of Miles Taskerville. And then basically just says, by signing this contract and both parties agree to blah, blah, blah. And that the agreed upon performance will be the reenactment of the famous encounter known as the First Night. Basically, what this is a man named Brill has hired these actors to reenact the famous event that shot Miles to fame as a bandit, essentially, for his birthday party. And I would even say that having heard that, Rowan, it would kind of click in your mind as well that Lord Crossholt was actually known as a large patron of the arts. and it was something that he and his family and his uh, nobility, everything about him was like they used to throw lavish parties and stuff like that. So it actually doesn't surprise you that Miles would be interested in something like this to sort of like celebrate, to have like a play put on. Um, so it it seems plausible to you. But yeah, that's it. This looks like an official um, contract here, and the only thing that would stick out to you, Verlin, when you're reading it is at the bottom. There's a little addendum that says, if the performers give a grand performance, there is a chance that they will have a private meeting with Miles himself. He does so enjoy the theater. That's what the little note at the bottom says.
Gentlemen, I appreciate that you are apparently actors, but you must understand doing this at night in earshot of another caravan. Not a good idea.
They don't really seem to understand. Like they don't really know what. Like they were just like running their lines. They have no, or like you kind of get the idea that they don't travel a whole lot, and that they were just hired to show up to this party, and they don't they're just naive really. I mean they're not, they're just kind of dumb.
Well, if this whole thing is a joke, I say we just move on.
Or we can take their place and learn the lines and sneak in like that.
When are you folks due for this performance?
It's tomorrow.
Do you know
And-
where you're going?
Yeah, they just told us to follow the road, and that we would come across their camp, and you can see, Verlin, as you're looking, like you actually you see along with the other papers that are like sort of scattered about, you see the script that they have that they were reading off of.
Gentlemen, how would you like some extras in your play?
Well, there's only like 4 parts here. Actually, I will, as you do it, that's the script. The play itself is called The First Night of Many. The event was originally called The First Night. But if you'd like to, if you all think that you can act, you could take their place if you wanted.
Well, you could possibly do some with some bandits. It saves the wardrobe change.
Gentlemen, I
Voice
have
2 can be Grix.
Matt. Who did you say signed off on that contract?
A
It was someone by the name of
Brill, was it?
Yep.
Brill.
The name does not seem familiar to you.
That's fine.
Oh yeah, it says wardrobe changes to bandits for all but Miles, so some of us can be the bandits without changing.
Did you gentlemen ever meet this fellow who hired you?
They just shake their heads no.
And how much are you getting paid?
The contract states that there was a $10 deposit given to them, for 100 gold. So they received 10 gold, and they will receive 90 gold. This is total, not per. They're owed 90 gold, by Miles or Brill, whoever, after their performance. And they were told in the stipulation as well that they might be if they do a good job, they might be awarded something directly from him if he asks, to meet them if they do a good job. But they weren't told like anything specifically about what they might get. But for actors, that's a pretty good payday for. Because again, when you think about like the actual cost of stuff in D&D, adventurers are very well paid.
You gentlemen do realize you're walking into an actual bandit camp, correct?
They just kind of shrug. They're like, well, we can't really turn down pay.
What if we gave you some pay for us to take your place?
I mean,
I'm not sure I agree with that tactic, Verlin.
It's a fun tactic. I agree very much. I already have all the roles picked out.
I believe this contract of theirs gives us plenty of information to work with to get in without having to pretend to be something we're not when it's around it.
well, I mean, the contract will only get you in if you're gonna perform.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I know. However, I have my suspicions, shall we say, about this Brill character.
Well,
What's your suspicions?
A simple name drop may be enough to get us through the front door and into a meeting.
I don't get it.
Is it not odd that a man who has hired this troop would not meet them in person, yet he would sign a name to a contract?
And you can see he signed it, and then it was Smythe Bardic Entertainment, and their boss, Mr. Smythe. also
Oh,
signed it.
okay. So
Yeah,
I have completely okay.
Yeah. So I should have clarified that. So
Okay.
it was the company that they work for signed it. He hired the company, and these are the people that the company sent to perform.
Okay. Well, that's
yeah.
a little less suspicious
Yeah.
then. Scratch that.
So yeah, they're not like they're just people who work for a company. They're not like their own little thing. They're also too stupid to put together deals. And from what you heard, they're also not the best actors in the world either.
Yeah, so what if we paid you to maybe head back the way you came while we take these scripts and your papers?
Are you going to take out our cart and our horses?
No, you can keep them.
And they're like, well, how much are you going to pay us?
The cart and the horses might add believability.
We can swap cart and horses, except I'm keeping Carrot.
Your cart is your carriage is way nicer than their cart. I mean, their cart is you can see that like even in, like as you're close up, it's basically housing all of their costumes. That's pretty much what most of it appears to be.
Well, we can take some of the costumes as well, but you can keep the horses and carriage. I'll take out 5 platinum.
Fucking 5 platinum. Is that 50 or?
That's
500?
50.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, their eyes would widen quite a bit seeing that.
So you wouldn't object to us taking these scripts, the documents, and then some outfits, correct?
No, nope. All yours.
Very good, gentlemen. People, shall we collect our materials then?
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna assign all your roles because I already thought about it so much. Pebbles snatches the script.
And
This is so undignified.
I'll hand the 5 platinum across.
Yeah, and they will take it, and they will they won't run, but they'll do that sort of like, we're going to walk as fast as we can without running sort of movement, and just keep like going away as fast as they can.
Well, I mean, they can keep the horses and carriage. We're just going to get their documents, the scripts.
They don't even stop. They don't even care.
They're just leaving.
It's not their carriage and it's not their horse. They don't really care. They're just like, that's more money than they've seen probably in a long, long time. So they just want to get out of there before you change your mind.
Well, we've now got a full wardrobe and extra carriage and horses.
Yep. The horses are not as, I mean, obviously, again, the carriage is not anywhere near as in good shape as yours, and it doesn't have any sort of it doesn't have like any branding or anything on there. So as far as like going in, if you wanted to like pretend that you could use your carriage, it wouldn't be like, it doesn't like say like Smythe or anything on the side of their carriage to make it like, oh look, we're this or that or whatever. So it's not like you would want to take that for subterfuge. And their draft horses, they're not like the worst horses you've ever seen, but the ones that you already have are in better shape.
Oh, that went better than we expected. And we have an inn.
Technically, yes.
Pebble claps, very excited.
So, who have you designated to which role, Pebble?
Okay. So, I was thinking that the fighter should be Uran, the maid should be Grix, obviously, the cleric should be Verlin, Miles should be Rowan, and Aurelia can be the narrator. And then I can choose all your costumes too, and she runs to the costumes.
I would maybe change Rowan to the narrator.
Rowan does have the correct missing eye. However, at the time of this event, Miles wouldn't have been missing his eye. He didn't lose his eye until later on.
But Aurelia is a lady.
But with Rowan as the narrator, he speaks more than everyone else, meaning he will have the biggest performance.
I don't know if Miles will like it if he's a lady.
Just a quick question in general. Does Rowan have like a eye socket with like Sans eye, or like
You
is
have
it
no
total-
idea. You've never seen him with his eye packed off.
That is true. I was just kind of, I'm like, if there's a glass eye in your wardrobe and he happens to have an empty socket,
There is no visible scarring like outside of the eye patch, but you've never asked and you've never seen it.
Just know
Yep.
he has bad depth perception.
is that why he never gets close up?
Oh, shots fired.
Just kind of assumed it's because he was a priss.
6 of one, half a dozen of the other, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the fighter can be Aurelia, and then Uran can be Miles, and then Rowan can be the narrator. And then it works out, right?
It depends on if anyone wishes to play those roles.
I'm sure that, the sleeping wizard is probably super excited about acting, because that's totally what Grix is all about.
Before he even knows that, he's already done with their shit for the night anyway. Grix is like the youngest grumpy old man at this point.
Well, we did say we didn't want to kill anyone off the bat, so let's not complain.
And the question is, how do we convert from performers to a conversation?
You can do it in your narraty way. Blah blah narrator words, and then suddenly something or other.
And then the bandits
Words.
left everyone alone, and everyone lived happily ever after.
Yeah, like that.
And you can see as you're going through and looking at, like, the costumes and stuff. I mean, it's full on. Like, you've got your props in there, you've got makeup, all kinds of stuff. So if you wanted to, like, attempt to make yourself look more like them, I mean, honestly, it's funny. You guys have combinations of the way that they would have looked. Now, again, Miles currently it has an eye patch, but he wouldn't have during this event. He also currently has white hair because he's an older gentleman, but he probably wouldn't have had it. Well, maybe he would have. It probably would have been more salt and pepper. He hasn't been a bandit for that long. So you've got Verlin with the white hair, you've got the patch, and you've got I believe, based on the token there, that Uran's got a beard. So
Yep.
but there's no description of and even in the stories that are told specifically about the first night, where they've got, like, and that's part of the reason that they're not given names, so like fighter and mage and stuff like that. It's a story about Miles, so the side characters are never discussed, so they're never given names in the stories that are told.
Miles is the only one that's important.
Exactly. So if you wanted to, like, there's no like stipulation of, like, the fighter is a man and the mage is a woman and all that kind of stuff. I mean, all the people that were performing this, or were supposed to be performing this, were men. But if you really want to get in depth to, like, sort of the medieval type actors, they were always men anyway, regardless of the role. They played women, so.
So, do you think he'd get angry if one of the mooks showed him up on stage? He goes to kill the bandit king, and then someone else comes up and does it before him.
I imagine it would at least irritate him, but I'm not sure that's the goal.
You would want to if you want to go through with this plan, you would want to memorize your lines, though, because you don't want to have to read them off the paper. Obviously, I'll make, like, you guys can if you want to, like, act this scene out, I'm not going to make you actually memorize it, but your character would want to practice it.
I mean, I've got keen mind, so I've read it, so I know the lines.
Yeah.
Probably the best performer here, even though it's not something I'm particularly good at. So,
can I intimidate the crowd into liking the performance?
So performance is a charisma check skill, right?
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So yeah, none of you are going to be great at this.
But that's kind of why I was thinking for Rowan as the narrator, considering he has more of an influence on the story or the play.
I mean, I got a +6.
I mean, honestly, Urin is probably the second most charismatic person in the group, I believe.
Perfect for Miles.
Yeah, he is. Actually, by a fair margin. I think you're the only one who has any pluses aside from Rowan.
I mean, my -1 is not too.
He might like being portrayed by a big, strong Goliath. Who knows?
Certainly, the rest of the actors don't need to be particularly skilled, judging by those who left.
You could always call Quinn. You're only a few days. No, I guess you're really far away now. Never mind.
He can teleport, right?
Wouldn't surprise me.
Quinn has a +5 to his, because he's a straight up bard. He's all about it, man.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a long strider. He could get there quickly, right?
Wait, he's only got a +5 to performance?
No, to performance he has a +8. He has.
I was gonna say, like, I have better than that, and I'm not even focused on it.
He has a +5 modifier to his charisma because he has a 20. So
I think Rowan as Miles would be better, just because if Miles is the centerpiece of this entire thing, his performance is going to be the most scrutinized.
And then you can be the narrator?
Sure.
I guess you do have the deep voice for it.
I'll leave it to your discretion. I dabbled in thespianism as a youth, but I'll be honest, it was never truly something I found much interest in.
I've only seen play. I've never been in one, but it seems fun.
So I guess we'll go back to bed and we'll inform Grix in the morning of his role.
All right.
All right, so you guys can go ahead and rest up.
Welcome back. I figured I didn't hear a fight, so who did you bully?
We're gonna be in a play.
What?
You're gonna be a fighter.
I mean,
Rowan
I
will
already am a fighter.
take a minute to explain it to Aurelia and Grix. Once
Grix
they're
has
up.
his head under his pillow.
Yeah. No, I mean like in the morning.
Yeah, you guys can go back rest and then discuss it in the morning.
All right. Any other watches for the night, or
No, we'll just jump ahead to the morning.
Grix,
Yes.
guess what?
You seem in a good mood, so I don't know what.
you aren't gonna like it?
We last night we met up with some people who were gonna put a play for Miles, and now we're gonna do the play instead, and you're gonna be voice number 2, mage.
Okay, well, sure.
Yeah, and Cece, it says meekly mage, so you will be perfect for it.
Yeah, well, it's yes.
Yeah.
You only have 2 lines. It's actually not that bad. And one of them is the thing that you would say all the time. But I need to rest to recover my spells.
Mm-hmm.
And Aurelia, you're gonna be the fighter, see?
Joy.
Let's hope people actually follow the plan instead of just doing what they want.
I'm excited.
I'm glad one of us is, Pebble.
So, presumably the plan is that we put on the play. We do well enough that we are invited to this private meeting,
Yeah,
and we discuss from there.
yeah.
What if we don't do well enough?
No, we will all be good.
If we don't do well enough, I say we continue on with what would naturally happen. I'm assuming someone would lead us out, and we would be gone, and then from there we can come up with an actual plan to get in.
Well, if you look at the bottom of the script, at this point you hope the crowd applauds. If not, you had better run.
Yeah,
Should we first
the
address?
end of-
I've never really performed in front of a bunch of people. And,
You'll do fine.
Has Sage right? Raise your hand. And I will raise my hand to my own proposal there.
She will raise all of her astral hands.
Well, I mean, if you don't want to be the fighter, I can be the fighter. I'm pretty fighty.
Pebble, I don't know if you know this, but I'm not really a people person. Oh dear.
That's okay, that's okay. We already swapped some rules, and we haven't memorized anything yet. So I can do it. I can do it.
You
I just
are,
have to do 2 lines.
you are
I think.
very brave and confident, Bebel. That I will agree with.
He.
I've technically memorized all of it.
Well, it's not a one-person show, so that's not really necessary.
I mean, if you could, I'd be very entertained. How do you have it memorized so quickly? Is that another like mutant skill or something?
No, if I read something, I can recall it. Just like I can point north, and he points north, and I know exactly what time it is.
What time is it?
It's this o'clock. Oh,
Like 7 a.m. or something.
it's 7 a.m.
Reveal another piece of yourself. I'm never sure what to make of you.
Well, some skills come in useful.
You're a very peculiar individual, though I do enjoy your company.
Oh, you won't be saying that when people come to hunt me.
Not too long until that now.
Well,
Ar-
come and have breakfast first before we move out.
So
And
you guys
so-
can, yeah, you guys can get everything set up and ready, and then, like I said, I'm gonna have to stop here in a few minutes. So what we'll do is I'll set this up for the next time. So you guys approach the direction that you're supposed to be going, and off in the distance, you actually are able to actually spot the camp. And you notice that it is a camp, so they don't have a it's not a fortress or anything like that. So coming up on the road, what you can see is there's actually like basically a barrier, but it's just pretty much tents. There's quite a few of them, and then you can see that outside of these tents along the road, there appear to be 2 guards standing out front. And that is actually where we will just go ahead and stop.